Jay Crawford, Adam the Bull, Garrett Bush, Dustin Fox, Jason Lloyd, Tyvis Powell, plus, ba-da-da-da-da, you're loving him, Mikey McNuggets. And so many big names, it would take me hours to say all of their names. The ultimate Cleveland sports show starts now. Booyah!
My heart hasn't beat since last night. I am so tense.
Yes.
What a ball game. I also want to officially start today's show by extending an invitation to Bull, if he would so graciously accept. Would like to invite you into the official Guardians fan club. You are here.
I appreciate it. I was going bananas. When Bybee was in trouble in the second, I'm like, get the bullpen up. What is happening here? I'm on Twitter freaking out like a lunatic. Why is nobody warming up? And Zach Meisel texts me, Kate Smith's warming up. They didn't show it on the broadcast.
No, they never even talked about someone being up. And by the way, I thought, let him settle in. He struggled in game one a little bit.
Right, but he settled in the second inning in game one. And this game, he couldn't even throw a fastball over the plate.
Well, when it was bases loaded and walk two, I was extremely nervous. And I said, this is his last hitter if he doesn't get an out.
Yeah.
He got the out in exchange for the run and then the double play. And then I said, okay, let's see what we can get out of him.
Talk about the bunt.
Game.
The bunt and the slide.
Sacrifice. You just texted it.
Like you just said that.
I mentioned that this morning on the Guardian show that Jay texted sacrifice. They're not going to I think your exact text was, they're not going to sack bunt because he just hit a home run, or they wouldn't have, or are they? Yeah.
Well, what's
as suicide squeeze, not sack bunt.
How many times in sports do you get a mulligan?
Yeah.
Are you at the same crossroads you were in a previous situation and you have a chance to be aggressive?
Yeah.
Like, there was a lot of discussion, and I was having chat exchanges with a lot of friends, you guys among them.
Yeah.
On the show after the Game 2 loss, I said the one big opportunity I think we missed was not sacrifice bunting in the situation where they had first and third, and you've got a home run hitter at the plate in Fry, but who knows? And I said, I wish we would have sacrificed bunted.
Yeah.
And then here we are again, exactly the same situation.
Yeah.
First and third, one out, Fry's at the plate.
Yeah.
I know, I didn't learn this until after the game. Then they asked him. He said, I've only bunted 1 year, and it would turn into a double play.
Right.
So I didn't think they were going to ask me to do it.
Well, what happened was, by the way, so I spoke to Zach this morning because we did the Guardian show. Zach said that right before he came to the plate, because it was a pinch hitting appearance.
Right, it was.
No, I'm sorry.
It was.
No, the pinch hit was the home run.
That's right.
Right. But right before he came to the plate, Stephen Vogt went to David Fry and said, can you get a bunt down? He asked him that right before the at-bat.
Which is a good way to, you love to do that.
Yes.
Gauge.
And what I love is he clearly said, I've got you, Skip.
He said, apparently what he said to Vogt was, I wasn't a good hitter in high school, so I can get bunts down.
That's pretty funny.
And he did.
I can't imagine David Fry not being a good hitter in high school,
that's what he said. Maybe as a freshman. I don't know.
They needed every bit of that run.
Oh.
I know for a fact. Y'all
everything.
Was sitting there thinking, when they was up, I was like, oh, no, we need another one. There's no way.
Well, and they almost got it.
Yeah.
I said that.
They almost got it. Colt Keith robs Andres Jimenez on that. And that was the only ball Jimenez has hit hard the whole postseason.
What was crazy, Bull, is, and it was at that moment where for the first time in the series I started thinking, Detroit's a team of fate. They're a team of destiny, because Will hits a ball that hits the yellow line.
I know.
So we missed the run by inches there.
Yeah.
Then the ground ball that clearly would have scored Brennan from second.
Yeah.
It's an unbelievable play. The way he elevated his glove.
It popped up, and he kind of reaches behind him and up.
That's an all-time. That's an all-time play.
Usually when you dive, you keep the trajectory of the ball. Before you dive, you look at where you're going.
Yeah.
And you kind of do the calculus in your mind in real time of where you need to put the glove. What was impressive to me about that was after he had left his feet, he never took his eye off the ball, and he saw when it came up a little bit more than he expected.
Yep.
He snatches his glove up and gets it, and I thought, uh-oh.
That was unbelievable.
We're going to need that run.
Yes, and I thought, off the bat, I thought Brendan hit it out.
I did too.
And then it looked like Perez was going to catch it.
He was closing hard, and I thought, maybe it might get off the wall, but
and
when
then
they showed the replay and you see the ball hit the yellow, you're like, oh, no, this
and then
is
I
not
was like,
supposed to be.
I asked Zach this morning. He said he wasn't sure because he actually didn't look at it either. I was like, I wonder if Brennan wasn't running hard because I was thinking he should be on third. That should be a triple.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
I don't know, but
I doubt that he's not the kind that would dunk it on the box. I think he was giving it all he had.
I think
fortunately it didn't
matter.
The
other time I thought that the Tigers was about to win is when Kosar comes in, right? He's throwing 101.
Yeah.
They got a guy, I don't even know who he is. He turns on a 101-mile-an-hour pitch, smacks it down the line for a double. And I'm like, who is this guy?
That was Justin Henry Malloy to start the ninth inning.
I was like, I was sick a little bit. I was like, this is going to be a problem.
Yeah, I didn't like that. And it was kind of similar with Clase again. Like, he was, he gives up the double, as you said, to Justin Henry Malloy to start the inning. But then he settled right in. That strikeout to get Sweeney to end the eighth.
Oh, my God.
That was big, obviously.
I'm not a body language expert. He was nervous, to me.
They were definitely nervous in this game.
Looked nervous. I thought Stephen Vogt looked extremely nervous.
Oh, my God. He looked very nervous.
He just had the look of a guy who was being asked for if he'd like one more cigarette.
And Bybee, like every 10 seconds.
I know. I know. Which is okay. That's a cleansing move. You want to get rid of that energy. But he was doing it a lot.
Is Carl Willis officially Yoda? Because when he went out there, I mean, it's crazy because he settled down, and now you know he gave the home run. But
I don't know how much we've talked about this in the vein of Francona taking the Reds job. I know I said it on Channel 3. I may have said it here or not. The critical offseason move is whether or not Carl Willis comes back to the Guardians or joins his buddy in Cincinnati. Whatever he wants, I'm backing up the Brinks truck. He's worth every penny and probably more.
We are not about to go down the Bill Callahan line of thinking.
Can't lose him.
No. We saw how that letting guys out of their contract nicely don't work well for us.
Well, Francona's his buddy, but it's not his son. That's a difference.
I know, but they're tight.
Yeah, they are.
They're very tight.
Carl Willis is old. He may just want to finish his career here. Who knows?
My goodness.
I don't know. But I don't want to lose him. But
one other thing, are we going to come back to Guardians, or are we going to
we're sticking with Guardians still.
Yeah.
I'm about to do a read and stick with the Guardians.
Okay, great.
Hey, one last thing. I wonder how many steps he got on the step counter yesterday. Talking about Carl Willis. He was just back and forth to the mound all day.
He was making trips.
All night. He was making trips. Let's get into it. The Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show is brought to you by FanDuel. Hey, NFL fans, you can start the NFL season with a big return on FanDuel, America's #1 sports book. So when you get a hunch in the middle of the game, you can check out the latest stats, live play-by-play, so much more on the same page where you place your bets. You'll get started with $200 in bonus bets guaranteed when you place your first $5 bet. That's FanDuel.com/UCSS. Never waste a hunch and make every moment with FanDuel, an official sports book partner of the NFL.
Guys, when, for all the plays we've talked about a lot of big plays at the end of the game. To me, it gets a little lost based on the way the game ended. But Lane Thomas getting that RBI single in the first inning, because Quan's been unbelievable in this series. He looks like the guy from the first half of the season.
Which we said he had to be for them to make a run.
He's hitting 500.
It's unreal.
So they get back-to-back hits to start the inning. And then Jose ripped that one down the line. You thought it might be a 3-run homer at Hook's foul.
Yeah.
He ends up popping up.
Jose's hitting the ball well.
Yeah, he hit a home run, which was good. But Naylor had a really terrible at-bat in the first inning. Struck out some bad pitches. But they hadn't scored in 20 runs.
Right, 20 innings.
And when 20 innings, sorry. Lane Thomas comes up with 2 outs after they have first and second, nobody out. Now it's first and second, 2 outs. And I'm like, I'm talking, Aaron's sitting next to me. I'm like, dude, Aaron, he's got to get a hit.
They had to score there.
They have to calm everybody down. Yep. You got to relax. This streak of consecutive innings without scoring has to end. They need this run. And thankfully, I thought that was massive.
It's a great point, Bull. It was lost in all the drama because there was so much that happened. There was so much that happened after that. But I was talking to some friends yesterday before the game, and I said it is imperative that the Guardians not just score first, but that they score in the first inning.
Yes.
Put a lid on the crowd. Now, they fought their way back every time. This Detroit team's got moxie.
Yes, they do.
Which is why they scared me so much. They are not quite aware of what they're doing.
Yeah.
They're just going out there. It's a bunch of guys. It's a bunch of guys that are getting big hits in big spots.
Yeah.
One after another. Now, Clase was not great, but he was obviously better than he was in Game 2.
Yeah.
And I do feel comfortable that if we need him tomorrow to close out the series, I think he's going to be fine. I looked the Skubal splits up.
Yeah.
I'm trying to find anything that I can sink my teeth into here that would say, this is possible. I wanted to see specifically, I think the Yankees clinching their series helped the Guardians immensely. Why? it put the Guardians in prime time Saturday night. If the Yankees series had still been going,
they play at 4.
They would have had the prime time, and Skubal would have had the benefit of the shadows again. Remember, we talked about that before Game 2. The one thing that terrified me, and as it worked out, I'm literally right behind home plate. I've got the same viewpoint as the hitter.
Right. Now it'll be dark when the game starts.
It's going to be dark. The lights will be on, and I think that is a huge benefit to the
I didn't
Guardians.
really think about that. That's a good point.
And Bull, you've always heard the announcers talk about the shadows in October.
Sure.
They're not in play when the sun is high in the regular season, but in October when the angle of the sun is low, you get weird shadows. There was a point in the game where the ball actually went from dark to light to dark.
Oh, God, that's the worst.
And
against the best pitcher in baseball.
Against the best pitcher in baseball. And I'm watching it, and it's the same thing I said for the 15-inning game against the Rays in 22.
Oh, yeah.
I said, this game is going to go forever, and it's going to end on a fluky error because you can't see the baseball.
Yeah.
Sometimes it goes from dark to light or light to dark, but with Skubal the other day, just the way the stadium is configured and the light standards and the shadows, there was a point where it was going dark, light, dark. And it was like someone's flipping a light switch on and off, and you're trying to hit a baseball that's coming in at 95. Now, I know we had that advantage too.
Sure.
But Skubal, who is already Cy Young, becomes that much better. The one thing I found that I think is encouraging for Guardians fans, he is, and the night and day splits are almost identical. 2.42 ERA in the day. He's actually better at night, 2.37. But the road splits to home splits, as you might expect, are pretty dramatic. He's 10-1 with a 1.99 ERA at home. He's 8-3 with a 2.86 ERA on the road.
So he's very good.
He's great
on the road.
He's great.
He's just absurd at home.
He's not unhittable.
He's unhittable at the crib.
Now he did pitch it in Cleveland
here,
the first time.
but he had the benefit of the shadows.
By the way, you want to. Let me give you a stat that basically sums up how insane baseball is. Austin Hedges in his career, who will start this game, I'm predicting, and I am in favor of it, believe it or not.
I am too.
Is a 300 hitter lifetime against Tarik Skubal.
Are you kidding me?
Worst hitter in baseball is a 300 hitter in his career against the best pitcher in baseball.
I can't imagine there's many
He's
guys
3 for
that
10.
have a higher average. I mean, that's a small sample size.
But still, Skubal hasn't been around that long. It's not like a guy's got a million at bats against him.
I never would have expected that.
Are they going to start the right-handed bat?
Yes, 100%.
They will, absolutely.
Yeah, and Fry will be batting second.
I'm fine with that. I'm fine with
that.
that.
By the way, I know they're not going to do it. I got one guy we haven't mentioned at all who deserves a lot of credit, Brian Rocchio. He's putting up good at-bats. I would say after Quan, he's been their best player.
What is he hitting for the series? Around 500, I think.
Well, Quan's hitting 500.
I know, but I think Rocchio was right there with him.
I think his on-base is 500 because he's walked a lot. But even his outs have been good, hard-fought at-bats.
And I'm like, how the heck did you take that pitch? He took a couple of pitches that was
close with 2 strikes.
Yeah.
I'm like, ooh.
By the way, before the Fry homer, if you remember, he was down 0-2
and walked.
Well, no. I'm saying
because he was down 0-2 at one point and worked a walk.
No. When Fry hit the home run, I'm talking about the at bat when Fry hit the home run.
Yeah, okay.
He was down 0-2, and that third pitch missed the strike zone by an inch.
Oh, I know it did. And
it was a ball, and the whole game could have been different.
Did you guys see the mashup of the home plate umpire for Game 2? It's another thing I really wanted to circle back on today.
He was terrible.
So again, I was behind home plate, and I think I've got a great vantage point.
Yeah.
The last strike, by the way, which ended the game, I'm yelling from the suite. That was 4 inches low, Blue. That was I was on him for 30 seconds. He had to walk right by us because the umpire exit is right behind home plate, and the suite I was in was right next to that. And I'm asking him, "Where's your date, Blue? Why the hurry? Where are you going?" And he kind of smirked. I know he heard me. I saw a mashup yesterday. He called 17 pitches that were out of the strike box strikes. So they were balls.
Yeah.
He called them strikes.
And the
last pitch was 3.08 inches below the strike zone.
Wow, I thought it was more than that. But
I did too. Yeah. I'm yelling, Blue, that's 4 pitches.
But 3 inches is a lot.
3 inches is a baseball low, out of the zone.
Yeah, that was crazy.
He was horrible. So most of those calls, by the way, benefited the Tigers.
Yeah.
So to that point, I think the Guardians have to focus on what they can control. There's no way that guy gets the plate assignment again. Not going to happen. So that is out of their things to worry about.
Yeah.
And also the fact that they're not going to have to deal with the shadows. That is out of their list of concerns. So I know he's Cy Young. I know he's awesome. I know he loves this stage. But I almost feel like he regretted some of his antics.
He did.
Before the Game 3 interview, the first thing he was asked about was, him really showing his emotion at Progressive Field. The first thing he said was, "Yeah, I let my emotions get the best of me, and I won't do that again."
Right. Which is fine. I mean, listen, I don't blame him.
Baseball.
Yeah.
But he's going to hear it.
Sure.
And they're going to be on him hard and early to make sure that they sort of get into his head. And same thing as Game 4, Guardians got to score right away.
Yeah, I'll be surprised if – I think we'll all be surprised if this is not a low-scoring game in Game 5. And the Guardians haven't decided who they're starting yet. Obviously, we'll talk more about that. I'm going Matthew Boyd.
I am too. And I feel okay about it.
He pitched very well.
I'm not.
Why not?
I'll tell you after we do a read.
Oh,
okay, I want to know who you're going to
tease.
start. I mean, you got to look at rest.
Gavin Williams.
You've got he's a possibility.
So why you? I'm asking the experts, but I do have an opinion on who I think the Guardians should start.
I think that would be the likely contender.
Yeah.
But I just think Matthew Boyd pitched well enough
He did.
to earn the Game 5 start. His leash is this big.
Yeah.
And
I'd have Gavin Williams ready to go potentially.
I would tell Gavin, prepare like you're starting.
Yeah.
All right, go ahead.
All right, man. So y'all know it's only one Cleveland, which means there's only one gutter guard company that you need, and that company is Leaf Filter. Here's what it is, man. The gutter company is one of the best up and rising company in the city of Cleveland. An investment in Leaf Filter is an investment engineered to protect your whole home. It's your permanent solution to clogged gutters. Every installation comes with a lifetime no clogs guarantee. Schedule your free inspection now for a limited time. Get up to 32% off your entire qualified purchases and 2 free Browns jerseys at leaffilter.com/UCSS. That's a free inspection up to 32% off and 2 free Browns jerseys with qualified purchases at leaffilter.com/UCSS. Offer valid on first come, first served basis while supplies last. Full terms and conditions can be found at leaffilter.com/UCSS. See representatives for warranty details.
There we go.
So who is it, Earl?
So for me, it's Gavin Williams. I thought, Gavin is a dude to me that I think he's pitched well against Detroit throughout his career. He pitched well against them this season.
Right.
And I kind of felt like, he's a dude that if he gives up the home run early, you can easily go to the bullpen, but Gavin is damn sure good enough to get you 6 or 7 strikeouts and at least give you 4 innings, maybe 5, even in the playoff game. It just depends.
There's some logic in that.
Yeah,
sure.
absolutely.
It's not an illogical point.
Yeah, especially
It's just a
because
preference.
Their most dangerous hitter in the postseason has been Kerry Carpenter. He's a lefty, but he may not be able to play.
Out. Yeah, I don't
I'm
think
assuming he hurt. It looked like a hamstring.
It looked like a hamstring to me too,
Yeah.
and I can tell you, and I know you know this too. They don't heal in 2 days.
No. That's a couple weeks. I wouldn't mind Gavin Williams for one thing. Even if you allow some runs, right, or base runners, at least I like a guy on the mound that has overpowering stuff where you can say he might strike the next 2 guys out. Now, if he's in there and he doesn't give up, all he has to do is not give up home runs. Walks can hurt you, but if he doesn't give up home runs, I like the fact that they have not seen him in this series. He throws really hard. He has good stuff, and he's going to have a short leash just like the rest of them.
Yeah.
So I like the fact that you could possibly strike out the side or strike out the next couple of guys if a runner gets on through bloop hits or walks.
There are good reasons to start Gavin Williams.
I like the overpowering fact too.
Yes. The thing that makes me nervous about Gavin Williams is A, he hasn't pitched particularly well.
I know.
And B, I don't like Alex Cobb, he hadn't pitched in a while, but he's a veteran.
Sure.
Gavin Williams is a young pitcher who hasn't pitched in 2 weeks. And I'm just worried. And he's a guy that can get overamped, and all of a sudden he's throwing everything high, and that can get away from you in a hurry. The point that the Tigers haven't seen him, Earl is right. He's actually pitched well against the Tigers.
And I like the fact they haven't seen him in this series.
Yeah, right. So, listen, I don't think there's a bad choice between the two. I would go with Boyd, but I don't think Gavin Williams would be a bad choice if they did
This
it.
decision, Bull, reminds me of the decision Mike Hargrove had to make before Game 7 of the 1997 World Series. He had the young Jarrett Wright, who had pitched so well during the season.
Right.
But there's no bigger stage, in my view. You could say a Super Bowl, but for me, and what I like, there's no bigger stage in sports than Game 7 of a World Series. He's got Jarrett Wright, and he's got Chuck Nagy. And Charles Nagy had a great year that year.
Yeah, he did.
And Nagy was the veteran, and Wright was, I think, 21 years old. He was a kid. And Hargrove made the decision to go with Jarrett Wright. And when the decision was being discussed, one of the things that was brought up was, look, we're likely going to see both. You know, when Wright gets into trouble, we're going to see Chuck out of the pen. And he was told, prepare like you're starting, mentally. Now, the way it worked out, he pitched his tail off. He was great. It was Mesa that blew the save. And then when Nagy did come in to pitch in extra innings, he was dinged for the game-winning run. So is there a right-wrong when it comes? It's kind of like rest versus rust. For every time you show me that rest is worse than rust, I'll show you the flip.
Yeah, sure.
And the same can be said for the veteran over the newcomer.
Yeah.
I think you prepare to pitch both, and you tell both of them, this is a start for you. Yeah. Gavin, I'm going to start Matthew, but in all likelihood, even if he's dealing, I'll probably get him out after 1+ trips through the lineup, depending on how he's going. If he's giving up one hit and he looks great, he's going to get a second time through. If he's not giving up a run, but he's given up 4 hits and he's pitched out of trouble, he's not going to get to see the lineup the second time. So, Gavin, you're on the hook. So get both of them ready to go. It's certainly not a bad idea.
No, yeah.
And I'm not going to scream at my television. I'm going to be at the game. I'm not going to scream next door to vote if he goes with Gavin Williams. We'll see how it goes.
Yeah.
We'll see what he's going to do, but I feel comfortable either way.
Yeah, I do too. I'm a little more comfortable with Boyd right now, but I love Gavin Williams. I love the talent, and he's certainly more talented than Matthew Boyd, so it's going to be a tough choice. The Tigers are dealing with another injury too. Apparently Jake Rogers is having an MRI. I don't know what he did.
I don't either.
Zach told me this morning that Jake Rogers is supposed to have an MRI as well.
Was there I don't remember even an incident where he was injured.
I don't know what happened. I for some reason didn't ask.
Who got hit with the back foot slider? Do we remember?
I don't think that was him.
I don't think it was either.
I can't. It was with 2 strikes. Also, it was by Gaddis. Gaddis hits. Was it Gaddis?
Yeah, Gaddis hit him with a back foot slider.
Yeah.
Barely clipped him, but he got him. I don't know. I don't know what the MRI would be for, but
a couple things.
Terry
Jay,
Carpenter being
the Tigers
out,
hasn't seen Gavin Williams since July 30th, right? So he was 1-1 with a 1.65 ERA and 22 strikeouts. In each appearance this year, he pitched at least 5 innings, had at least 5 strikeouts, including 8 the last time he went against Detroit.
So he threw. Wow. Okay, those are good numbers, Bull. Those are really good.
Yeah, now that was a different Tiger team in July, obviously.
It was.
I like the fact that when you're a younger player, if you see early success, you know how jacked up he's going to be. Like that confidence of seeing you get through a couple of times in an inning gives young guys that adrenaline rush. Like, this is what postseason baseball is talking about. So I wouldn't mind that, but I feel comfortable and confident either way because it seems like you got all of your guys that are working their way back in. Fry, Thomas, you look at Jose. And Quan setting the table.
Yeah.
Rocchio's even having great at bats. I feel good about the option of getting 3 to 4 runs. If you get 4 runs and you get them early, I think you can get the Tigers out of here.
I do too. I think they're going to really start pressing at the plate if they're down 3 or 4 runs. That's when their inexperience will start to come out.
Sure.
Let me ask you guys this question. I know that the bullpens are the strength of these pitching staffs.
Yeah.
But I thought Brian Anderson was making an astute point last night when he kept saying, maybe we're starting to see the fatigue of these bullpens.
I mean,
certainly. Do you think that's the case?
Yeah,
because
certainly.
I do. But guys that are normally perfect have been getting hit.
I mean, all 3 of their top guys, none of them looked as good as they normally have looked this season.
Right.
They were good, but they weren't. None of them looked super, outstanding yesterday.
Right.
But what choice do you have? I mean, you just don't have pitchers that they trust going deep into games.
And some of them, it's not like I said, the guy who roped the double down the line. I mean, he's throwing above the letters. It's 101 miles an hour, and if you turn on 101 miles an hour,
he just guessed right.
You shake his hand and say, congratulations.
If he throws a slider there, he obviously looks ridiculous.
Obviously,
but he started his swing. He said, And sometimes when a guy throws overpowering stuff, and that's different for every hitter. If overpowering for me is 95, then if the pitcher ratchets it up to 96 or 97, I'm in guess mode.
Yeah, you guessing.
In this case, with a guy who can throw 104, you're in guess mode, and you're saying, I'm gonna take a shot in the dark that he's gonna throw a fastball here, and I'll adjust down if it's a slider. But he guessed right. He caught it. That's why he pulled it. You're not pulling that if you're reacting to it.
Now, I remember whoever the first batter Clase faced yesterday, I can't remember who it was. It was right before Sweeney. Might have been Colt Keith. And the first pitch Clase threw was like 101 or whatever it was. And you saw look in his face like, oof, this is different.
Yeah, it was.
I think he got up to 102.
Yeah. Well, he has thrown up to 104 this year.
The difference, too, is 95, when you're standing right behind home plate, looks like it's unhittable.
Yeah.
Right.
But everybody's doing that now.
Yeah, right.
But, and I said this after the 2016 World Series, when they brought Chapman in to warm up in Game 7, I was looking at his warm-up pitches, and I turned the guy I was standing next to, and I said, that looks like CGI.
Yeah, right.
That doesn't look, it looks humanly impossible
that ball
to catch up to that.
When you hear the mitt, it sounds like somebody is getting shot.
It sounds like,
pow! I'm like,
Jay and Bull, I got a question before we bring Bernie out. So I've watched every game of this series, and maybe I'm just kind of being this panicking fan right now, but the last 2 games, I'm not seeing people score runs off Emmanuel Clase, let alone get a hit off Emmanuel Clase. Now, granted, he got out of that, got the save and things like that.
I'm not. I'm seeing something completely different. I'm seeing guys that are hitting him.
Okay, so I'm not out of line in saying that. It's making me a little nervous.
Oh, I thought
he meant during the regular season.
They're getting hits off of him.
Oh, no, they're hitting him.
And it's bothering me.
Yeah. He gave up 5 hits. Well, 4 hits. The Cron catch took away what would have been another one.
Right.
It was hit well enough to be a hit. When does he ever give up 5 hits?
Now, he was obviously better yesterday than he was the time before.
I thought he was too.
He doesn't look at the peak of his powers.
He doesn't look to be unhittable.
Right.
And the Tigers are, we're talking about things that we can hold on to.
Right.
They're locked in.
What they're holding on to is, hey, if it's a 1-run game and Clase's on, it's not over. We've proven that.
Right. And let's face it, if we're honest with ourselves, I mean, the Tigers probably, at least on paper, have the worst lineup of any lineup we're going to face.
God, I think you're right.
So those guys are going to have to pitch better if they're going to go on this run we want. But one game at a time right now. You got to get this game. It's going to be fascinating to see who they start, what the bullpen choices are. Even with a day off, how much are they able to use? Especially Cade Smith, because he pitched a lot of pitches.
Yeah, and he
Gaddis.
looked fatigued.
Yes, and Gaddis threw a lot of pitches. Gaddis did a great job in that second inning.
Clutch. Very clutch. We're going to ask one question while we bring Bernie in, and then we're going to turn the page to Browns and the Eagles. A pitcher has a manager has a plan for a pitcher before the game.
Sure.
Not that he always sticks to it, but I'm sure A.J. Hinch is building a framework for what he wants out of Tarik Skubal. Usually you put a ceiling to it, 7 innings, 5 innings. What is your ceiling on Tarik Skubal? Because, yes, this is an all hands on deck, got to win or you go home, but you also have to take into consideration, and that's why I hope it is a close, low-scoring game. He'll have to do this calculus. At some point, he's going to have to make the difficult decision that I'm going to need him in my next series if we're going to have any chance, so I can't ride him like I might in a Game 7 of a World Series.
I get what you're saying. It would be hard for me to take him out of the game, period, if he's his typical self.
Right.
I mean, he threw 90-something pitches last game. I'd let him go to 110.
Got through 7.
I'd let him go to 110.
Oh, really?
I would
you're
if I were
an all-in
100%.
Okay, that's interesting.
100%. I got to do it. And then, he'll have his 5-day, he'll pitch. Well, he wouldn't be able to pitch till Game 3 of the next round.
No, he's.
But you know what? In theory, if they get there, let's hope that doesn't happen. He could pitch Game 3 and then he'd be ready for Game 7. So
he could.
That wouldn't be the worst.
He could.
But
the one thing that I'll say as we wrap this up, I think Game 5 will come down to how many outs Detroit's bullpen is forced to get.
Yeah.
If Skubal goes 7 again, and when he leaves the field, the game is in the balance. We got 6 outs against their bullpen. I don't love that. Yeah. I want to see him out after 5. Give us 12 outs against that Tiger bullpen, and we are going to come
right,
through.
because their bullpen's not as deep, but I can't imagine they're going to knock him out after 5. If they knock him out of 5.
I can't either.
It was big that they scored off Brisky because he hadn't given up a base runner in the postseason.
He's been perfect.
And Fry hit that home run off him because him and Vest have been particularly good for them.
So, to my original point,
Yeah.
I think it's going to come down to how many outs you force the bullpen to get.
Yeah.
This is my approach. Patience. Patience.
Yeah.
Skubal throws a lot of pitches that start out as strikes that end up out of the zone. Spit on them. Get that pitch count up early. Now, if he's just
better than anybody, that's hard to do, though.
Listen,
difficult.
I wish I could practice what I preach because that's my approach. A lot of times I'll see a guy he's throwing junk, nothing's ending in the zone, and I get up there and sawdust is coming out of the bottom of my bat. I understand that, but they have it in their DNA to be patient at the plate.
Yeah.
This game, more than any other, might be the one where they need to exercise that. Because, now look, if he's pounding the zone and pitches are finishing in the strike zone, then change your plan, and you'll know that after 1 or 2 innings, and then start to become aggressive. But you've got to spit on pitches that are ending up out of the zone, get the strike count high, foul off a lot of pitches. Don't have 1, 2, 3 innings.
No, you got to
do it.
You got to make him throw.
So you're talking to Josh Naylor.
I'll say this in closing.
Josh needs to stop pretending that he's playing beer league softball.
Right now, the Naylor brothers can't hit to save their lives.
No, I know
And
they
Jimenez, he
can't.
can't hit either.
But with Josh, it's simple. His helmet falls off on every swing.
Yeah, I know.
Josh. This is what I would do if I'm Stephen Vogt.
See, this I shouldn't even say that.
I know. You open up a can of worms. Bernie, hold on, bro.
Yeah.
Here's what I would do if I'm Stephen Vogt. Yeah, Josh, come on in my office. Shut the door behind you. Here's what we're going to do. If you hit a home run, we're finding you $50,000 in kangaroo court. You understand me? You need to play this. You want to play like it's softball? Okay. Then here's how we're going to do it. A lot of times in Texas shootout softball, you only hit 3 or 5 home runs in an inning, and then if you hit another one, it's an out.
Yeah.
Because some of these guys, every guy in the lineup, boom, 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 boom.
Yeah, right.
I need you to pretend like you're playing softball, but we've already got 5 home runs. We're at the limit, and if you hit it over the fence, it's an out. And the reason I say that is because change your approach.
Yeah.
Just hit the ball. Home runs will happen.
Especially
You're
with
the
2
Hulk.
strikes, Jay. With 2
strikes, he's out of his tree the way he swings.
With 2 strikes, he swings. It's crazy, his swings.
Oh, my God.
Yeah,
I need some medicine.
you got to cut it down a
All
little.
right, we got to do the read so we can get Bernie.
Yeah, we do.
And so my heart rate will come down.
One last thing for me. G started this series off talking about Jose Ramirez because he's the best player. He's got to show up in big moments. This is Game 5, winner take all. He was 9-21 in the regular season for his career versus Skubal with a 4.29 average.
Wow.
Of course, Game 2,
Nice.
0 for 3 with the 2 strikeouts. I'm looking for Jose to have a big game.
And by the way, both strikeouts, he chased pitches that were out of the zone. Wildly out of the zone.
Yeah.
Big
Low
facts.
sliders, one of them hit the
go.
dirt.
I think
Big
that
facts.
home run gets him going, and he
He's
has
back.
a good Game 5.
He's back. Now the monkey's off his back.
Yep.
He has a huge Game 5. Let's go, Guards!
Let's go.
And I can't believe they have this game against Ohio State Saturday night.
I
Facts,
know,
man.
that
And speaking of guards, man, if you
I'm
want to
watching
get
the
down to
Guardians,
the
though.
Guardians
I'll
game
DVR the Buckeyes.
this Saturday as they take on the Detroit Tigers in Game 5 on national TV, use the Game Time app. You can download the app, create an account, use locked on code NFL for $20 off your first purchase. Again, Game Time if you're trying to get down to see the Guardians take on the Tigers Saturday.
Will you
Bernie, what's up, man?
Over?
Wait, I'm thinking of my game time picks here. We're using code Kosar again this week. Wait,
I know Bernie sweats it out
Oh, yeah.
because I've watched playoff games with him.
sweating it out. And I really, you got me fired up and motivated on the Guards and your analysis of it, Coach Crawford.
Thank you.
Okay, and I don't at all want to seem like a suck up right now, okay, for agreeing with you, but you're spot on with that, and we hope we don't have that umpire who calls
was
everything.
If they put him
That
behind
would be
home plate,
sinful.
the fix is in. He was awful.
Right.
Awful. Bernie,
There's no way he's pounding the plate too after the way he had success in his in game 2. So you're right. The patience. It's not
Got to work the
Where
calendar.
you know
By
we're gonna be so fired up in game 5 that
Crowd's gonna be nuts.
Well, younger players too.
Yeah.
You're gonna want to do that. So your advice really should be kind of played out.
By the way, before we switch gears to football, one last stat that we haven't mentioned. With that win last night, the Guardians ended an 11-game, 27-year streak in elimination games of losses.
I had said yesterday on the air, the last time they won an elimination game, Sandy Alomar was their catcher.
97 against the
97.
Yankees.
That is mind-blowing.
Right. And then they won the next day in
Now,
or the next game in Game 5.
I also hear that stat, and I also immediately dismiss it because none of those guys are on this team.
Well, that's true.
So history stats, and Vegas does this
Yeah.
too. Unless the Browns are 25 or 0-25 in Pittsburgh, then it kind of matters. But typically,
I knew about an 0-16 when I was a kid.
What was your record in Pittsburgh? You know off the top of your head?
I just know as a little boy growing up,
Yeah.
we never won there.
Ever.
No, but your record. Do you know your record?
He
off the
won
top of
there.
your
I
You
head?
won
more
there.
games than I lost there.
Probably the
did.
only quarterback.
I bet he is. The
done
only
that.
Browns quarterback that has a winning
Probably.
record in
Didn't
Pittsburgh.
y'all beat them once 51-0 at Pittsburgh?
Yeah, I don't remember what I had for breakfast, but I do remember the opening game.
That was the opening game?
1989 was a 5-1-0
Yeah,
against the
that was
Steelers.
insane.
I went back and watched it because I just couldn't believe it. I said, bro, they beat them 51-0.
Who was their quarterback? Bubby Brister?
No, Mark Malone.
So Mark Malone was in like 85, 86, but then Bubby came, and
Bubby there?
then Neil O'Donnell was
Neil
like,
O'Donnell.
in
Yeah.
the
None of those
90s.
guys were any good, though.
No.
The Steelers were good then.
Yeah.
They were,
Steelers always built on great defense.
Yeah.
All right, enough of that.
This was my issue.
we got to start with the biggest question: is Kevin Stefanski making a mistake by not benching Deshaun Watson?
So, no is my short answer.
Okay.
And because part of it goes deeper, and I've said this in the spirit of being funny, okay, but also I kind of believe it's factual. And I'm not trying to get national quotes or for sure local quotes of ragging on anybody, but I really think it'd be hard for Jesus Christ to be a good quarterback right now in the system. And we really need to figure out who we are personality-wise right now, because and again, I've said this openly as about myself, and I don't say this to make it about myself, but I know at the end of my career, in the mid-90s, I thought I had to be a shotgun spread quarterback because that's what the league called for, and that's what was cool in that. And I was not as good at the end of my career as I needed to be. And I think right now, offensively, any team in the league that's doing spread all the time has a lot of challenges and issues, even if you're a good offense. And we're just not a good offense right now. So this spread offense, this kind of 2-minute approach is not working no matter who the QB is right now. So to me, it's more important, and I'm not even fixated on who's calling the plays, but I am fixated on what the personnel groups are and what the game plan is. And the game plans need to be as many healthy linemen and as many street tight ends as we have is to run the ball.
Why are they doing it this way, Bernie? Why are they doing it? If it's such a bad idea, which it seems like you're right, why are they doing it?
Go ahead, Bern. Just let it go.
So again, people say it's okay. We want to protect the quarterback. We want to make the trade look good. Okay, maybe beforehand that was a part of it. This is just about survival right now. Okay, I was at the game last week, watching it intently and seeing it and trying to see what you could do differently. And there's not much you can do differently in this spread, no matter who's QBing right now. So that reality hit me like a 2x4 in the face, and hopefully it hit the team and coaches with that, to where Deshaun and the guys around him, whether you like it or not, whether we think that's what you do best or I do best, it's right now what survival means. And the Eagles have a really good pass rush, yet they've only had 6 sacks so far this year. They're going to be teed up to rush the passer, and we need to, just to survive and have any chance at this game, have to minimize these spread formations.
You know, Bernie, the thing that you know, when I watch the All-22, and it just stands out like a sore thumb to me, is I don't know, as playing offensive line and defensive line, I don't know what they're teaching or what they're, like, it just seems as if they don't have rules when it comes to picking up guys. Like, you know, who's sliding in protection? Is the protection on the quarterback, or is it the center calling that out? When it comes to the run plays out of shotgun, I don't know, are they trying to duo, double team to the next play, or are they pulling backside guards, or it just doesn't seem like there's a level of understanding of this is how we're going to block this. and this is how we're going to get these yards. And it just seems like sometimes the offensive linemen don't even know who they're
So that's a beautiful question. I'm actually thinking now I spiritually showed up for the production meeting and at the beginning here to talk about this. And that's partly why I'm so desperately saying I'm all in on having to run the ball, because the pass game and the coordination that you need to pick up guys like that, we've been talking about it every week, and it's been a disaster, and it's getting worse. And we watched it get worse against a team in Washington.
Why, Vern? They were able to do that in the past. Is it Callahan's absence? Is it you're playing a shell game with your linemen with the injuries?
Well, we were playing a shell game with our linemen the last year in particular, and we kind of we all talked about how we were playing the shell game with the linemen. Yet Coach Callahan and that system did a great job with it, and the denominator now is he's not here, and the shell game is still needed, and it isn't working in this pass game at all right now.
So he would. You think his absence is
well,
felt?
that's it. Again, just that isn't the issue, too, but
it's a contributing factor.
It is a contributing factor, and to that, I believe, isn't going to get fixed in 1 week. Those communication issues and how you pick up just a simple TT game or the TE game.
That's it.
Okay, and the backer comes, forget it. Everything's over then.
The operation shut down.
Right. So again, I don't raise the white flag and surrender often. Okay, but now I have. I surrender. That's not going to work in the short run. So in football, when you can't pass block, okay, and I can't finesse you, okay, it's okay because it is a physical game and you're allowed to not be religious and talk about hurting you. And that's what you could do. And I saw DeJuan Jones where everyone's picking on him, okay, his footwork's not here. They say he's not hustling. I believe he's hustling, but I do believe they're thinking too much, okay? And when you're thinking too much, and I got a guy who's 350, okay, I know how to make him not think.
Well, that part's not him.
He ain't 350. He's 450.
Okay, I love it even more because I watched him move around me, and I'd have him run people over.
That's what I'm saying.
And because now you don't got to think, and they're capable of thinking, but it's right now they're thinking too much and not reacting, and then we're getting a lot of the jailbreaks and Olay blocks.
Let them listen. It's as a pass rusher, you can't rush the passer if you're getting double teamed. If you're getting smacked in the mouth when we're running off tackle plays or we're running zone, those linebackers look real cute and they nice little high socks and all the cute little wristbands. But you notice they don't look that cute when you got guards on the second level because we're running downhill at them. And I don't get it. Kevin he knows this. This is the point. He understands that he has to do this, but there's this disconnect of trying to continue to move
again, it's now as the quarterback, it's Deshaun. Everybody needs to realize this is in my interest. Okay, yeah, I want to be 25 and I want to run the spread offense myself. Okay, but I can't. And now there's a time we got to realize who you are with that. And as I'm looking at you guys, the other thing too, why you kind of got to get into this running physical game. And I went on a little tirade like you did on the patience with the hitting and stuff, is on checkdowns and stuff. So in a physical running game, again, it's a holiday. It's Rosh Hashanah coming up, Days of Atonement. So hopefully I'll get atonement tomorrow for the sins I'm thinking today. Okay, in terms of physically hurting people. Okay, that's the only way you could change this tempo right now. And Philadelphia has doubts too. The Sirianni, Jalen Hurts stuff. Okay, so we got to put doubt in their mind, and you only put doubt in their mind by physically hurting people. Okay, and that's in the running game. And then this pass game, we saw this in Washington. We've been talking about through the year. And I'm looking at you guys. Okay, like I'm looking downfield, and we've done this on camera a couple times where you're looking downfield. And then on our checkdowns, you want to throw square ends, post, deep throws, intermediate. We don't see any intermediate 9 to 14 yard crossing routes, square routes. We see the quick slant And when you say, okay, we know we're getting pressure, so let's throw everything quick. Well, the defense knows that too.
Right.
So you've got to be able to master and figure out a way to get maybe an extra half second. And almost in the spread, almost all of our checkdowns for everybody, not just us with the Browns, is check wides, check swings, check arrows, check hitches out there, check smash routes. So here I am, I'm looking, I want to throw the post, I want to throw the square, and I want to throw an intermediate route. The jailbreak's approaching. I got to quickly leave right here because G. Bush is within 0.3 of a second of wiping me out, so I can't wait 0.2 to hit the square in coming behind your forehead. Okay, I got to give up, turn my hips, feet, throw the ball from the middle of the field, 17 yards to the sidelines, 51 feet, 2 yards downfield, 6 feet, to gain what, 3 yards? Okay, it's not worth it. It's torture.
Yeah.
Okay, and you get distracted. You get the demons in your head. Am I going to get wiped out? Should I bury my... I was too slow, so I knew I couldn't run, but an athletic quarterback, the demons in your head, do I drop my eyes and find a hole and run? And all that is happening right now.
At warp speed.
At warp speed. So, like, I have a big chip check-through philosophy, and we started implementing a tight end motion in the game last week against Washington where he came across the formation. Typically, you run away from that, and that guy's cutting off the backside in pursuit of it. This time now, he was motioning over to chip the defensive end and help in pass protection. Okay, that's great. Now, we got a chip with a meanness about you, okay, with an intent to hurt. I'm sorry. Okay,
Knock him to the ground.
Worse than that, okay? Intent to hurt, okay? And then you, instead of looking at your back, I don't want to swear, but looking at your backside, okay, you wipe the guy out, and then you start leaking down the field in the seam. And now look I'm looking at a square, and I'm looking at a post. I'm looking at hitting the 14-yard crossing route. Okay, I could stay in that because then I know Bull's going to wipe out the defensive end.
Taking his
and then
ass
I
out.
know he's like literally right there, and I could just do this instead of giving up. And that little subtlety right there needs to really be taught from the off-season and training camp.
We're not going to switch
You
gears
can
today.
implement some of it. You can implement some of it, but you have to believe in that.
Bernie, I know that your area of expertise is what you just dove into. I could literally listen to you talk X's and O's and theories and philosophies on the game all day long. But you played it long enough to know that there's a lot of politics going on behind the scenes. There's this camp, there's that camp. I'm going to throw my theory by you, and I'd love to get your thoughts on it. I think Kevin Stefanski is too good of a football man to stick with something like this that he didn't want in the first place and he knows isn't working. I also believe his hand is being forced by the owner or the GM, whoever's delivering that message. But the biggest part to my theory is that Paul DePodesta has the most power in this kingdom. And he's sitting in his ivory tower in San Diego. He's devising game plans, and he's made the decision, you're not winning in this league if you're not running this offense, which may have been true 3 years ago, but you can tell the league has pivoted. I feel that Jimmy is so entrenched with DePodesta's voice in his head and he also has a quarterback who's saying, yeah, I can be good in the spread. I feel like that's what's going on behind the scenes. Am I nuts?
So, I'm a fan of Paul DePodesta.
I know you are.
I get to talk with him. I enjoy. I'm despite me being an old school football guy, I was a math major, so I believe I was a data analytics guy before there was data analytics. So to me, that's a common component of the game that I believe should be used and is instrumental. And now, just like anything, though, you got to be. It's a piece of it, not the whole piece.
It's how you use it.
Yeah, and I do like how he's using it, but you hit on a really good point. What the numbers said and what you should do, okay, especially with the spread, you use the time duration of 3 years. That's pretty good. I would say the spread philosophy, no tight ends, no fullbacks,
right,
was a philosophy 7 years ago when David Njoku was picked. with the 27th, 28th pick of the draft 8 years ago. You were like the heresy to use a pick on a tight end in the first round, and you were the antichrist if you had a fullback on your roster. Hey, so the analytics were one way then. Then it did. I wanted it to change back then, and I was hard into tight ends. That's why, not because of the University of Miami, did I love the David Njoku pick, and I've been all in on him through his career with it, but also because I saw the game needed to change. You can't. Gary Danielson told me in 1986 when we put the spread no back in, and I had Ernest Biner and Kevin Mack, and I'm putting them both out on the sidelines running friggin' smashes and hitches. Like, in what world does that make any sense at all? Where Junior Seau's ripping right up the field and Chip Banks on me. Okay, like there's no way that could work. And Gary Danielson said, yeah, you'll have the shortest career ever. You'll be dead by that. And that worked for a little bit, and that worked for a little bit back in 2013-14, but it's evolved, and it's evolving again. So I do believe guys like Paul DeBattista and the data analytics aren't married to the spread offense. They're married to the evolution that's coming. So I really think.
So you think this then is being demanded by Deshaun?
Well, I don't say demanded. I demanded, like I had a thing. I did not know how to turn my back to the defense and play action pass. I was a completely inflexible human when it came to that. But I love play action. But then all of a sudden, well, turn your back and put your butt to the weak safety and take your head down and fake and take your eyes off the field, and that didn't compute to me.
Yeah.
And I was stubbornly stupid and disruptive to my coaches about that, and then realized I needed to do that. Okay, I had to add that to my game. Deshaun needs to add that to his game.
But to the original we started with here, wouldn't Jameis be better at doing that? Wouldn't he fit what Kevin Stefanski really wants to do better?
Well, if you believe that, like if I'm the quarterback and you told me to come back, and I'm trying to put myself in Deshaun's shoes right now, and you sat down with me and we talked about this like this, I would think Deshaun would be good with it and he would be fine running that. It's a question of, these are the plays we're running, okay? This is what we're going to do, okay? These other plays aren't getting run. And so help me God, if Nick Chubb comes back and we spread him out wide to run a hitch, okay, that's not should not be on the horizon. So, like, if you just, again, nothing's going to be perfect in the short run. Even just putting Deshaun down and putting Jameis in, there's inherent flaws within the team right now. I know we think we're the greatest on paper roster in the league. We have really some fantastic players, but the league's really good. Our depth and our roster isn't head and shoulders better than everybody else, so there's still flaws even when you make the move.
I got a question, but Earl, go ahead with a read first.
Yeah, let's get a read in, and it's a good time to let everybody know that this segment of the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show with Bernie Kosar is brought to you by Robinhood. With Robinhood Gold, you don't need a silver spoon to eat up the financial favors of the 1%. Robinhood Gold allows others to get the risks and perks usually reserved for the high society. Now the resourceful individual with Robinhood Gold can earn very liberal rate of 4.5% average per year on uninvested cash, receive unlimited 1% deposit bonuses, and be rewarded with a handsome 3% retirement boost on an IRA account. Robinhood Gold provides the privilege of a high net worth for any net worth. These generous benefits are now available for only $5 a month. New Gold standards is here with Robin Gold. Sign up at robinhood.com/gold. Terms apply. For product-specific disclosures, visit robinhood.com/gold. Investing involves risk. Rate might change. Gold members is offered by Robinhood Gold, LLC.
So Bernie, I just did a episode of Ultimate Browns. Make sure you guys check that out. It'll be at 5:00. Mike Florio of Pro Football Talk was talking with somebody. I forget who it was, but he talked about the guy was saying that they were trying to get to what happened to Deshaun Watson. Why in this process? How did he go from this to this? And he was trying to give an example of how he juxtaposed what he's doing now as to what he was doing in Houston. And he told a story about a general manager who said he was at a practice while Deshaun was in Houston with Bill O'Brien, and he explained it to him that they were watching practice, and during the practice, while Deshaun was calling the plays, he said he was looking back and forth to Bill O'Brien, and Bill O'Brien would tell him certain things, and then he would snap the play. And he said there was different things that Bill O'Brien from the sidelines he would look and was giving him instructions on basic things that, he said that most quarterbacks should be doing by themselves at that time. Most quarterbacks would be more along in the process than be looking at the coach. I didn't know what he was trying to say, and so you're the perfect person to ask. I'm trying to decipher what exactly does that mean. What could have been that Deshaun was looking at Bill O'Brien for when it came to certain parts of the play, the scheme, and before you throw the ball? What is your theory on that?
So I'm listening to that really good question, and I'm thinking of something humorous. That's why I'm smiling. So I know we may have something to do at noon. So it's been a sour day on the football front, a fun day on the Guardians front. So if you need a levity story that potentially may get me fired with the big boss Steve here today, I would like to be invited back. But I hadn't heard that. Okay, but to the Deshaun Bill O'Brien coaching from the sidelines. But one of the really big things that I would not be able to help myself, okay, and I would do some, and that's why I'm really good with signals and eye contact and stuff like that, to be able to still to this day talk to certain quarterbacks and people without talking to them from the sideline. And this is always a fade. The Rock is always a takeoff, and you're going to get that, you corners who like to squat, and you'll be told that too, okay? But I hadn't heard that, and I would like to kind of view that, and that's one of my issues even at the end of my career. I couldn't stand, okay, the microphone in my head, because coaches can't help themselves, and they want to talk to you and coach you up and tell you helpers. And when I was the quarterback with the Browns, we didn't have that. I was a little more in charge and confident of myself, whereas at the end of your career, you're trying to hang on at times. So you didn't maybe have that confidence, and in turn, you don't have that pull. So in turn, you maybe listen to the coaches to appear to be nice on it. So I don't know if it's that, but if it is some things, like maybe because of lack of knowledge of that, I haven't heard that. I don't see that when I see him. But young quarterbacks, I say that as a point. That was 1994, 5, and 6, where that stuff happened to me. So Deshaun wasn't even really born then. Yeah. So all of these quarterbacks now have grown up with microphones in their head. Yeah, they're always told stuff. Like, it's a crutch, okay? Like, and it's not just Deshaun. All these young quarterbacks, like, I had to know that stuff. I was out there on my own. And I needed, and I still to this day, I need quiet for 10 seconds to process anything, to make a decision on what to do. So that becomes not your crutch if you're groomed another way by needing that. And if that's the case, then you still need to have I watch the sideline stuff. I don't see him getting that type stuff on the sideline. But there is stuff like I can see, like I wanted to put myself on the sideline this past week. And when I see press coverage, I want to yell and throw up the rock, okay? Yeah. All that crap's going on in the middle of the field. Okay, let me throw a bomb to my outside receiver.
By the way, how did you get any quiet when you were playing with Leroy Horde? Did he actually stop talking?
Leroy actually, see, that's the amazing thing, was we had such good, respect. Yeah. That literally, even Leroy was quiet enough.
Wow, that's impossible.
Hey, one last question quickly before we let you go. Yesterday on Channel 3, I read the definition of insanity as we know it. It's when you keep doing the same thing, but expect different results. If we see Sunday what we've seen the first 5 weeks, there's no way we can't have change after that, is there? You can't be 1-5 and then and roll that same pile of garbage out in week 7.
So I like how Coach Kevin says, let's win the week. Let's worry about this week and go 1-0 this week. And let's not worry hard about that, as because I want to tell you what I hope is a funny, humorous story that's factual. That if that happens, though, those are things that you have to start thinking about. You know, you have to start thinking about that stuff. But more so, you have to really start thinking about what you're going to do, even with changes like that, and what you're going to do, who your personality is. Because to your uncertainty of who to pick up and pass block, it's not going to get better while we're a Sybil personality with multiple personalities right now. We need to get one personality. And
that's great. I'm going to read one stat to you that really stood out to me this week. Which boggles my mind. I said Kevin Stefanski's smarter than, at least the three of us put together, and maybe on Bernie's par. But here's a stat that says, okay, so how do you keep going with this? I had to read it twice to make sure it was right. Watson has now registered 5 straight games with 25 or more pass attempts and fewer than 200 yards passing in all 5 games. That is tied for the longest such streak to start a season in the past 75 years.
Oh, my God.
It's not bad now. It's not bad historically for the Browns since the return. It's bad, period, historically in the NFL. And if that happens again, that to me, that is insanity. If you're going to put that out there in week 7 and try it again, maybe it'll work now.
So what's not going to work, and I'm not trying to be Nostradamus and predict the future, okay, but it's not going to work against, I believe, this Philadelphia team to be spread the whole game. So if rolling the same thing out means rolling it out with no backs and one back and minimal tight ends,
It's done.
Then issues and negativeness is going to be the talk of the next few days for that. I don't believe we're going to just put the flag up and go run 45 spread shotgun plays. I hope I don't spend my Sunday afternoon, wanting to impale myself with a butter knife, watching stuff like that. Okay, Hey, it is here. I know you guys got to get rid of me here for the noon stuff. Is here on another levity.
What's the funny story?
So I think it's funny, but I am, and I'm not saying this to look good. I put way too much emphasis on the winning and losing. And when I was absolutely responsible for winning and losing, and I was the quarterback of these teams, I was a borderline dictator. And I wanted everybody to remember me as a nice spiritual healer, community, and open-minded and stuff. But that is not the human that leads football men, okay? And that isn't the personality that you have to have. So when I like to sort of have fun, I guess I say, but really my fun is derived from winning games and that, and everything else is hopefully to get to these winning games. So that being said, Philadelphia in the old days was a team that I used to play a lot against, and you get preparation to go there. And Philadelphia and this used to do, and in the old days, everything was fair to distract and get you off of your game. So whatever you did,
In terms of trash talking,
anything.
Oh,
I
anything. Right,
steal
true.
your signals.
Yeah.
I can mess with you. I get in your head. Whatever. I take your pads. Whatever. Anything goes. So to distract and get guys off, Philadelphia was notorious for trying to sidetrack you, where they had the cheerleaders' locker room next to the visiting locker room. Okay? So and then the Eagles did this. They put a hole in the training room from the visiting locker room into the training room of the cheerleaders' locker room.
Wow, so, selling out their girls.
My
so
God,
everybody,
that's an arrest right there.
Yeah, probably today this is inappropriate. And,
Yeah.
and I'm not saying this because of the Me Too, and
Right,
I'm not saying this to just be a good guy. I was really saying it because I want to win these football games. So I would go to guys, and the young guys, everybody's all excited. They've been in 2 days. Been locked up in a friggin' hotels with a bunch of you knuckleheads sleeping with you guys for 6 weeks. We used to have 5 preseason games. And all of a sudden you're in Philly. You got a line of guys trying to look there. And I literally, again, I'm not saying this to look good, I could not stand my linemen okay, and receivers, like in line looking. So I would not let any of my linemen go look at the peephole. And they're like, because I don't want no distractions. And I'm like,
eyes on the prize. Guys.
eyes on the prize.
Well,
I'm
wait
like,
a second. These guys outweighed you by a lot. How'd you stop them? What'd you do?
Well, because back then you could get guys cut immediately. Okay? Back then you're gone. You are gone.
This is Bernie.
Damn!
You are
This is
gone.
Bernie Kosar.
That's true, that's
Who
true.
calls his own plays.
That's true,
What
you're
are
right.
you talking about?
You're right.
I
Yeah.
don't even do that.
We got guys. I
Bye.
mean, you got Philadelphia was so bad with the field. I mean, you can get torn ACL, you rip your legs, you get the concussions. It was like concrete.
Parking lot.
And then these guys, we struggled with some of the lines I had. I had some really good lines, but I had some lines that struggled. And I'm like, oh my God, like, you guys are, like, to your point, communication issues. You're not picking up the TT game, TE game, blitz. Oh my God, we melt, okay? And you're going to have blood in it, okay? You're going to be peeking in there. You're going to, like,
Just thinking about that instead of the
you're
game.
You're going to go to IR next week with a cracked Johnson? Like, come on. Jesus, God.
So you're grabbing the offensive line. I want to cut your ass right out of here.
Oh, yeah, that's exactly
I have an image of Bernie guarding the peephole. Out, guys, out.
Yeah, you're
That's
gonna
fantastic.
Filling in the peepholes with
I
like
think-
cotton balls.
So they got a new stadium.
Yeah.
Okay, so there's been stuff around the league with voyeurism and stuff. So it's not in Philadelphia anymore. So our team could go there, not know what I'm talking about.
So we can take that
and
off the
they
list of
that
worries.
That
Right.
won't be one of the distractions that causes any happiness or unhappiness on
we
a
go.
Sunday afternoon.
Bernie, great stuff, man.
Yeah, thanks,
Always good
Bernie.
to see you.
Thanks, guys. Am I invited back now?
Of course you are. Enjoy the Guardians game tomorrow.
Go Guards, man.
And
Go
the
Guards.
Browns game on
Bring
Sunday.
the Yankees on.
Let's go.
Let's go.
Gotta
I
get
want
this
that, yeah.
first. Bernie, thanks.
Thanks,
Appreciate
guys.
you,
Thanks,
man.
Bernie.
All right, Bernie, we appreciate you as we move on. It's a good time to let you know that the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show is brought to you by FanDuel. Hey, NFL fans, you can start the season with a big return on FanDuel, America's #1 sports book. So when you get a hunch in the middle of the game, you can check out the latest stats, view live play-by-play, and so much more on the same page where you place your bets. You'll get started with $200 in bonus bets guaranteed when you place your first $5 bet. That's FanDuel.com/UCSS. Never waste a hunch. And make every moment with FanDuel an official partner of the NFL. Before we move on,
Wow.
Can I,
Also-
can I throw some breaking news, well, potential breaking news in
What's
here
up?
quickly? Forecast for Saturday, not good. Not good, particularly later.
They change it? Okay.
I can tell you that
Yeah.
it is a consideration that this game get moved to 1 o'clock.
Oh, they're talking about that?
There's consideration right now. And
Why 1 as opposed to 4?
I don't know. I have no idea. Probably because the weather is probably coming in mid to early afternoon.
Right, because originally it was
And you'd
supposed
have
to be
the same
Sunday
problem.
night, and then it was Sunday morning, and now it looks like it's coming Saturday night.
Yeah, so that's just something for everybody to be aware of.
Yeah, you don't need
the
to rain.
good thing about this, I talked earlier about the shadows. In all likelihood, if weather is impending, it's not
gonna
going to
be-
be a sunny, cloudy
Right,
day.
right,
It's
right,
probably going to be mostly overcast, which would eliminate the shadows.
Right.
But anyhow, that's something that I would imagine is being very, very seriously considered by the MLB offices. They're probably talking about it right now with the Guardians, because the last thing they want, they can't have this. They can't have a postponement. Weather's not great Sunday either. So you don't want a game that's pushed from Saturday to Sunday and perhaps Sunday to Monday. Who knows? Because the ALCS is waiting. And so that's something that I'm sure is being discussed right now at the Major League office and probably here at Progressive Field, because I've been checking the weather and they're seeing the same thing I'm seeing. And the last thing they want is a lengthy delay or a game that's pushed to Sunday, because you do not want to compete, if you can help it, with NFL Sunday.
Hey,
One other
Gotta go get it done.
Yeah. One other thing that's worth noting here before we get back. Bly Mudris is an infielder, outfielder for the Tigers. He has just been added to the Tigers taxi squad, which means it could be because Carpenter's got,
That's what I would read
right.
into that.
So and Jake Rogers' MRI came back clean, so it looks like he's good to go.
Only thing about that is,
Yeah.
you know this, sometimes MRIs come back clean. It doesn't take the pain away.
Right, yeah.
Well, that's true.
All it says is it's not completely torn.
Right.
It's like, it still hurt. What you going to give me for that?
Yeah, so because if
Rogers did X-ray. So Jake, this is from Cody Stavenhagen of The Athletic. He covers the Tigers. Jake Rogers said he should be good to go tomorrow. Took a couple of foul balls off the base of his left hand.
Oh, okay.
Got X-rays after the game, not MRI, X-rays. Everything came back clean. Got treatment this morning. Said the hand's a little sore, but doing better than even he expected. By the way, real quick.
Yeah, that's different. An X-ray and an MRI obviously are different.
Yeah.
If it's serious enough to have an MRI, there's a lot of pain.
Yeah.
With an X-ray, it's either broken or not, and
Right.
if it's not, then he might, it might not be a factor.
Last thing here, Earl, and then we go to the Browns till 12:30 before we get back to the Guardians at 12:30. But
12:25. We're not going to 12:30.
Yeah, right. My bad. But one other thing, Jake Rogers, the way he moves his glove behind that's absurd.
He's very good, though.
I don't know why
great
are the
at
umpires
framing.
fault, but he does it so egregiously. Like Bo Naylor's a good framer. He doesn't move crazy. Jake Rogers, every pitch.
Yeah, well, it's working for him.
I mean, that's crazy.
There's one way to get out of that. You put the doggone machines back there and let them. You ain't framing that.
Yeah,
and,
well,
and
that's
it can
true.
Be perfect.
Yeah,
coming.
they're not ready yet, but
coming.
it's happening eventually.
You know what helps push us that way?
It's them.
What happened in Game 2? You can't have an 85% strike rate.
That's inexcusable.
That is absurd.
Yeah.
And tennis gets it right. Tennis has it always got.
But that's
right.
a little easier than a strike zone.
It is.
Yeah.
It is.
But I would say, listen, overall the umpires do a great job. Most of the umpires, I believe, do a great job.
You can't have, though, a game on the biggest stage in
Game
October
2 was bad.
where an ump missed 17 balls.
I thought last
balls.
night I thought the home plate ump did a good job last night.
Last night I thought was better.
I thought there was no
Much
issue.
better.
But
I had no issues last
Game
night.
2 was bad.
If there is such thing,
Early on, I had an issue.
If
The check swing on Hosey,
That was a bad
that
call.
impacted the at-bat.
Yeah, that wasn't the home plate umpire.
No,
though,
I know.
But
It was a check on the third base umpire, but I'm
that
like,
was a bad one.
Are you kidding me? You just called that a strike. And notice that TBS never showed that again.
Right.
Because the last thing they want is two broadcasters going, oh, they missed that one.
Yeah. I like the broadcast team, by the way.
I love them.
Brian Anderson, Jeff Frank Corbin, and the woman, I can't think of her name.
Jahari.
Yeah, I think she's good. She's actually good at
good
that.
Job.
Yeah.
Ask great
it's a good
questions.
crew. Yeah.
I like it.
these games is nerve-wracking. I don't know. I'm just getting over this last game, and I got to go into the game 7.
And then if you win, you've
Then
got
you go to the
least
Yankees.
4 at the same or higher stress level with the Yankees.
Yeah.
It's tough. How
were your parents handling it last night?
Listen, my mom was flipping out. She could take it. She just went in the kitchen and asked Rosie, did she need help with dinner? And I'm like, when did you start cooking again, Mom?
Wow.
Rosie was like, no, but she had to leave. It was that stressful, especially when they didn't have no runs. Until the home run came and Jose hit the home run, he was like, okay, now we might be regular. But Clause pitching, whew.
Yeah, that was a nail biter.
That was very nail.
But you know what? There's no greater way to know you're alive than to watch a game like that you're
it's
so
the best.
invested in.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's great.
It's a lot of fun.
All right, as we move forward, this next segment is brought to you by Leaf Filter. As the official gutter guard of the Cleveland Browns, Leaf Filter has a limited time offer for the Browns fans. Over 1 million homeowners have trusted Leaf Filter. You can schedule your free inspection now, and for a limited time, get up to 32% off your entire qualified purchase and 2 free Browns jerseys at leaffilter.com/UCSS. That's right, a free inspection up to 32% off and 2 free Browns jerseys with qualified purchase at leaffilter.com/UCSS. Offer valid on first come, first served basis while supplies last. Full terms and conditions can be found at leaffilter.com/UCSS. See representatives for warranty details. I got a question.
Shoot.
So this man right here sitting to my right, Steve Becker. Shout out to Steve.
What up, Steve?
He pretty much let me know last week that coming off a bye week, Nick Sirianni, the Philadelphia Eagles head coach, is pretty much coaching for his job.
Oh, 100%.
A loss to the Browns, he's out of here.
He is out.
Me and you are in the line. This thing is toxic with the Cleveland Browns. I think Paul DePodesta is kind of like a cancer. That's just my opinion. How long before we get to that point, even with the contract extension, before Stefanski is starting to be coaching for his job?
I personally would not fire him no matter how this season goes. But there is something strange, whether it's your conspiracy about DePodesta, whether it's Jimmy Haslam, whatever it is. It didn't make sense coming off a season last year where they were able to do what they did with changing quarterbacks all the time to essentially fire the entire offensive staff.
No sense.
I do know very reliably that Jimmy Haslam is obsessed with throwing the ball, which, okay, I get it. And for all the talk about it changing, all of a sudden, Jay, the last 2 weeks, there's been a lot more passing yards.
Listen, I've noticed.
Yeah. And Watson hasn't kept up with the other guys. Yeah, you've seen a lot of 300-yard games all of a sudden the last couple of weeks. It still for the season probably won't be what it was, but, like, it's not like the passing game's going away. I get it. It's exciting, passing game, but you got to do what's best for your team and your personnel. And right now, they would be better off running. And now, especially when Nick Chubb comes back, whether it's probably not this Sunday, maybe next Sunday, whenever it is, then it becomes a no-brainer. But all I know is I was told by a reliable source that there was a game, I think it was the Arizona game last year, that the Browns won in blowout fashion, but Jimmy wasn't happy because they didn't throw the ball enough.
He commented after the game, we didn't throw it enough.
And that just sums up how clueless he is.
Hey, listen, man, I told y'all, man, y'all think I'd be having these quotes for no reason, and it's facts. I've been saying this since day one I got in this industry. People would rather lose but do it on their terms and what they're comfortable with doing rather than winning and doing it in a way where they're uncomfortable and they don't understand that philosophy.
See, I don't know that I buy that. The one thing, I ding Jimmy Haslam all the time, and I'll just say this and you can respond to it. I think Jimmy wants desperately to win. I really believe that. I mean, he's showing it with his checkbook.
Right.
I think this guy is obsessed with the idea of bringing a championship to Cleveland. That's his redeeming quality. Mm-hmm. Where he goes off the tracks is he has wrongly made the assumption that he knows the way to get us there.
That's right.
He does not.
So that goes back to my point. My thesis statement is, if you know that you are better, what's best for the team is to run a specific style of football based on what you have. And yet you still say, I need to throw the football because that's what I like to see happen. That means you're not married to winning.
Well, I think he likes to see that because he, with his own eyes, has watched Kansas City build a dynasty that way. And Cincinnati, with a good young quarterback, win that way.
Okay.
But here's the missing element. And this is where, it's like what I've said before. You can't just wave the wand and say, you know what? I want to be really fast, tall, thin, and attractive. Well, that's cool, but you're not. So do well what you are and what you do. And Jimmy, I think, and Bernie backs it up when he says this, Jimmy watches the Chiefs and says, oh, that's what we have to look like in order to win.
Right.
I disagree with that premise because there's a lot of ways to win. But he's married to that way.
But the overarching theme is he's been here. He's seen it. He knows what his roster looks like. I'm sure they have meetings talking about the numbers. Analytics department has showed him, right? If this is an analytics-driven organization, they have meetings every week showing how bad they are passing the ball, showing how bad shotgun is, showing how bad they need a running game. But yet and still, as an organization, they're not going to change the quarterback. They said they're not going to switch to play calling. They said they're not going to go back to the old system. So that means, in reality, you are not trying to win. You just want to do it this way.
Hey, G, check this out. Yeah. Check this out. Before you go, Bull, because I talked about this on my last episode of the Ultimate 216 show. And you, Jay Crawford, you triggered me. And you were the reason why I even recorded that episode. As of October 25th of this year, Jimmy Haslam would be the owner of the Cleveland Browns for 14 years. Okay? So, what is it? 12 years. I'm saying 12 years.
Yeah.
The Cleveland Browns are 69, 122, and 1 during that tenureship. I found this quote from an article that was written right here at Channel 3. There's no reason why this can't be a winning franchise. Everything's here, right? There's no reason. If they don't, I'll accept the blame. It's our fault. We didn't execute like we should. Every other piece is in place here. Great fan base. You have the money you need. We just have to execute. Yeah. This was the day that he was introduced as the owner.
Yeah, we were excited at the time.
And he's reiterated that a million times.
We sit here on this show, we talk about play calling, the running game, wide receivers dropping the ball, Deshaun Watson, offensive line, the defense. everything subsequently is fruit of the poisonous tree. So based on his own words, it's his fault. It's nobody else's.
Well, to your point, the line I use is it's rotten at the head. This goes to the top. We've had different coaches. We've had different general managers. We've had different quarterbacks. In the span that he's owned the team, we lose twice for every win we put on the board. There's one constant. And going back to that, there's one person that he has invested in to bridge multiple GMs and coaches. His name's Paul DePodesta. So
and Jimmy himself.
Right, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Jimmy, obviously, Jimmy is the common denominator here.
Yeah.
But there's one other guy that's been along for the majority of that ride. And his record is the same thing.
Right.
His winning percentage is about .333.
But let me make a point. A couple of things. First of all, for whatever reason, Bernie's not comfortable saying you should
I know
bench.
he's not. I was hoping he would go where I've heard him go before.
If you read between the lines of what Bernie said,
right.
I mean, he understands. He's telling you that this is what Deshaun Watson wants to run.
Yep, that's it.
That's why they're running this offense.
Yep.
Because that's what Deshaun Watson wants to run. Bernie said it 3 times. I wanted to run something that I wasn't good at because I was stubborn.
Yep.
You don't get to be an NFL quarterback unless you're cocky, confident, stubborn, whatever it is. All of the above. And so, yes, you can blame Stefanski and you can blame Jimmy Haslam, and everybody deserves blame. Part of it is because that's what their quarterback wants. That's why they made all these changes this offseason, which made no sense. None of the changes made any sense.
You're firing an offensive coordinator who took you to the playoffs with 5 quarterbacks, and he didn't call the plays.
But at the end of the day, somebody going to have to grow a set.
That's right, and that's Kevin Stefanski.
Make the call.
You're right. And
that's
that,
right.
to me, is so how long do we stay in this malaise?
Yeah.
However long he's good with taking orders from people that don't know football like he does.
That's it.
When you rely on someone that doesn't have the knowledge that you have, you're being subservient. Now, I know we all have bosses. I get that. We all have orders. We all have to do things that we may not completely believe, but we have to do them. But at some point, he's got a safety net that none of us have.
That's right. He's got millions of dollars.
He's got millions of dollars,
guaranteed.
No financial worries, and he knows that money is as good as in his bank account. At some point, I keep thinking Kevin Stefanski is going to rip off the Clark Kent uniform.
That's up to him.
He's going to turn into Superman and say, no, I've had it.
That's it.
This is what I'm doing because it's worked. That's why you hired me. If you don't like it, fire me, but pay me.
He's the only one that can do it. Last thing real quick before Earl takes us to Super Chats and we got to go for TV. Jimmy Haslam needs to – remember when the episode of Seinfeld where George Costanza decides to do the opposite of all like –
Yes.
That's what he should do.
Exactly.
If all my instincts are wrong, the opposite's got to be right. And that's what Jimmy Haslam should do.
Hey, you know what? If he took that advice, it might work. It might work. Be your own man. Go down the way you want to go down.
Yeah.
Don't go down on something that a guy who got wealthy running a truck stop wants you to do.
Because if he stays and does not make no moves, he will not survive. He will end up getting fired.
Yeah, anyway, yes.
All right.
All right, man, don't forget that this episode of the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show was brought to you by Robinhood. With Robinhood Gold, you don't need a silver spoon to eat up the financial favors of the 1%. Robinhood Gold allows others to get the rates and perks usually reserved for the high society. Now, the resourceful individual with Robinhood Gold can earn the very liberal rate of 4.5% APY on uninvested cash, receive unlimited 1% deposits on bonuses, and be rewarded with a handsome 3% retirement boost on an IRA account. Robinhood Gold provides the privileges of a high net worth for any net worth. These generous benefits are now available for only $5 a month. The new gold standard is here with Robinhood Gold. Sign up at robinhoodgold.com/gold. Terms apply for product-specific disclosures. Visit robinhood.com/gold. Investing involves risk. Rates may change. Gold members is offered by Robinhood Gold LLC. And before we get to the super chats, of course, these super chats will be brought to you by Game Time. If you're trying to get out to the Cleveland Guardians Saturday, the game might be moved up to 1 p.m. depending on the weather, but you can download the app. You get to save money on last-minute deals. If you're a first-time customer, create an account, use code LOCKEDONNFL for $20 off your first purchase. We got a few super chats. We only got a couple minutes. I'm going to fly through these. Kevin Robinson says, Clase not used to pitching in the 8th inning. We got Soul Train says Guardians upcoming game 5 reminds me of the first round Cavs Magic series elimination game against a young upcoming team. Hopefully they also get the dub. Out of state Cleveland says I think Vogt has been saving Williams for game 5, but we'll start with Boyd, then bring in Boyd. You guys rock. And boy, this one was for you. It's kind of funny based on our spirited conversation. Cooper Ehrman says, let's talk about Mobley and DG leaps plus Jalen Tyson being in our starting 3 by the end of the year, sending love from Orlando.
I think you paid him to send that, Earl.
I kid you not. Steve started laughing when we said
It's all
funny.
inside baseball
That
stuff.
is- yeah, yeah.
Great
That is
spirited
funny.
conversation. Bernie was dope. Be great. Spread love. We'll see y'all on Channel 3 in about 5 minutes.
Yep.
Peace.